Good morning, Year 10. I hope you've had a lovely week and are looking forward to your bank holiday weekend. Here is your solutions video for the 20 questions from this week. Okay, so this is subtracting fractions, which we've done lots of times. So we're going to times the bottom two numbers to acquire a common denominator. So 9 times 3 is 27, so we'll pop 27 on the bottom of our two fractions. To get to 27 on this side, we've times by 3. And on this side we've times by 9. So we're going to do the same to the top as the bottom. So 4 times 3 is 12, it's a minus, and 9 times 1 is obviously 9. Okay, so then we're going to just subtract the numerators. So 12 minus 9 is 3, and that's over 27. But that's not simplified because we can divide both of these numbers by 3. So we're going to do the same to the top as the bottom. So we would get 1 over 9 as our final answer. Okay, so 1/9. Next one says a third plus 5/8. Okay, so we're going to times the bottom two numbers to get a common denominator. So 3 times 8 is 24, so we'll pop 24 on the bottom of our 2 here. Now to get to 24 this side we times by 8 and this side we times by 3. So we're going to times this side by 8, so 8 times 1 is 8, and we're going to times this side by 3, so we'd get 15. And we're adding those together, okay? So 15 plus 8 is 23. So that would give us 23 over 24 as our final answer for that one. Okay, on to rounding to one significant figure. So we are going to start with our first number, which is a 9. We're going to check our next number. If it's 4 or below, we're going to leave it as 9. If it's 5 or above, we're going to go up to the next one. Okay, so this one would stay as a 9 because it goes 9, 1, and then we'll just add in the zeros. Okay, so it would be 90,000 to one significant figure. This one's the same, it wants it to one significant figure, so that is our first significant figure. So 0.1, do we leave it at 0.1? Yes, we do, because the next number is a 0, it's not above 5. So to one significant figure, this would be 0.1. Next one then, we've got multiplying fractions. So with multiplying fractions, we are simply going to multiply the top two numbers and multiply the bottom two numbers. So 1 times 1 is 1, and 9 times 2 is 18. So our answer is quite simply 1 over 18. Next one, we're going to do keep, flip, change, because that's how we do our dividing by fractions. So we're going to keep the first one the same. We've got 4 over 7. We're going to flip the second one, so we've got 4 over 1. And we're going to change the middle sign from a divide to a times. So this means we've got 4 times 4, which equals 16. And we've got 1 times 7, which equals 7. However, we've got a top-heavy fraction, so let's make that into a mixed number. So we're going to ask ourselves, how many of the bottom number fit into the top number? So 7, 14. Okay, so only 2 lots of 7 fit in there. We've got 2 left over. So that would be 2 over 16, but we can simplify that further. So it would actually be 2 and 1/8. Okay, that would be our final answer there. Okay, so the next one is factorizing. Okay, so we're going to try and figure out what do we think is the highest common factor of 63, x, and 70. So what's the highest number that goes into both of those? Well, I reckon the highest number that does go into them is 7. So we're going to pop that on the outside of the brackets, and then we're going to put our brackets around here, and then work out the rest of it, okay, to kind of make sure it all works. To get from 7 to 63, we're going to have to times that by 9, okay? So we're going to put our 9 here, and then we've also got an x, so we'll put our x there. And to get from 7 to 70, we're going to have to times that by 10, okay? So we end up with 7, brackets, 9x plus 10, close brackets. And we can test to see if that's correct, because we can do 7 times 9x, which would equal 63x, and then we can do 7 times 10, which would equal the 70. So we know we are correct on that one. Now for the next one, we also need to find this highest common factor. So between 32 and 20, what's the highest number that goes into both of them? Well, in this case, it would be the number 4. So we put the number 4. But what's also common between them is that they both have an x. So we can put the x on the outside of the brackets as well. So then we have to ask ourselves, how do we get from 4x to 32x? So we would have to times our 4 by 8. And to get from x to x squared, we'd have to have another x, wouldn't we? Because x times x would be x squared. So 4x times 8x would equal 32x squared. Then we have to figure out how we get from 4x to minus 20x. So we'd have to minus 5, because 5 times 4 is 20. And then that's all we need, isn't it? Because we've just got a normal x, we haven't got an x squared, okay? So we've already got our x over here. And once again, we can test that by doing 4x times 8x, which would equal the 32x, and then 4x times minus 5, which would equal the minus 20x. Okay, so the next one is obviously useful for factorising because it's asking us to find the highest common factor of 18 and 24. So it wants us to find out what is the highest number that goes into both of these. So you can work that out by listing all of the different factors of them. So for example, the factors of 18 would be 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6, and that would be it, okay? And then obviously you could do the same for 24, so you'd have 1 and 24, you'd have 2 and 12, you'd have 3 and 8, and you'd have 4 and 6. So then you've got to have a look at them and you've got to ask yourself what's the highest number that appears in both of them, and in this case it would be the number 6. So the number 6 would be your highest common factor between those two. So then it asks us to express 20 as a product of its prime factors. So we've been doing this for a while, so we write our 20 here and we do our little tree, okay? So we go 2 times 10. 2 is a prime number, so we can circle that one. 10 would be 2 times 5. Both of those are prime numbers. So we've got 2, 2 and 5, so we would write that as 2 squared, because we've got 2 2's, times 5, okay, and that would be our final answer for that one. Okay, on to some multiplication. So we've got 89 times 59. So we'll just do the simple method that we always do. So 9 times 9 is 81. And then 9 times 8 is 72, but we've got to add that one there. So we've got 80. So we'd have 801 there. And then onto the second one, we'd have to add our 0 because we're moving on. So 5 times 9 is 45. 5 times 8 is 40, but adding the 4, so we've got 44 there. So then, once we add those together, we should have our correct answer, which would be 5,251. So 5,251, okay? On to the next one then. So exactly the same principle. So we've got 688 times 28. So 8 times 8 is 64. Is a 6, I promise. 8 times 8 is 64 again, but we're going to add the 6, so we get 70. And then 8 times 6 is 48, and we're going to add the 7, so we've got 55. Okay, for the second one then there, we'll pop a 0 here because we're working on the 2. So 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times 8 is 16 again, but we've got the 1, so we've got 17. 2 times 6 is 12, plus the 1, 13. Okay, so then we've just got to add those together, and then we should have the correct answer, which would be 19,264, which I'll just write here. So 19,264. Okay, perfect. So on to the next one then. It says express 0.2 as a percentage. So 0.2, first of all, we would convert it to a fraction. So 0.2 would become 2 over 10. Okay, and then we can just go from there because we've got to make the bottom into 100, haven't we? So we're going to times that by 10 to make it 100. And then we've got to do the same to the top. So 2 times 10 is 20. So now we know that 2/10 is the same as 20 over 100, and once it's over 100 we can just take that top number and that becomes our percentage. So 0.2 would be 20%. Okay, so please go on to video 2 for the last 7 questions for this solutions video.